Hello, my friends. What is good? Derek here from Bomb Socks with more Bomb Bites, where we feast upon the words of Christ one bite at a time. So we're going to get into Mark chapter 5 here, and we're going to spend 3 days in Mark chapter 5. There's a lot going on here. Like I said yesterday, Jesus is busy as he's going out and about with the daily routines he is going through, and he sees people who need help. Like I said, as long as there's messy humans, we all need Jesus, okay? And this is one of those chapters. As we get into chapter 5, I am always reminded of this guy right here. Now, if you're watching this, you remember the old New Testament readers. They have them for all of the scriptures, and they almost are set up in like comic book form. But you see this guy right here, torn clothes, broken chains, and he is running about. Verse number 2 in Mark chapter 5, it says, when Jesus came out of the ship, immediately there met out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit. Now back in Matthew, it says there may have been 2 individuals like this, but it says that the chains can't hold him. Verse number 5, I feel for this guy. And always, night and day, he's in the mountains and in the tombs, crying and cutting himself with stones. I can only imagine what is going on with this man in his head as he's trying to deal with these demons. One of the things here, and again, this is maybe a poor comparison, my patriarchal blessing uses an interesting phrase, and some of you probably heard me say this before. It says, upon the battlefields of our minds are fought some of the greatest of all battles. And I believe that is a true principle, especially when you got someone who is wrestling with demons, right? Cutting himself, maybe trying to figure out how to get whatever is in him out of him. This man is full of that. Verse number 6, but when he saw Jesus afar off, he ran and worshiped him. As you look at this story here, I wonder how much of this is the good, faithful lover, worshiper of Jesus and the demons here. Again, he's trying to fight through this. Verse number 7, and cried with a loud voice and said, what have I to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of the Most High God? I adjure thee by God that thou torment me not. So I was looking at other versions of the scriptures, and I saw in the contemporary English version, it says, he shouted, Jesus, Son of God in heaven, what do you want with me? Promise me in God's name that you will not torture me. So again, I don't know who's speaking here with this one. If this is the guy trying to fight the demons, or if this is the demons trying to... Even the demons recognize who Jesus is. It seems like every single time Jesus is encountering someone with devils, the devils automatically know who he is and recognize his power, which I think is very interesting. Verse number 8, for he said unto him, come out of the man, thou unclean spirit. Now, the contemporary English version again, the man said this previous thing. It's like, in God's name, please don't torture me. Man said this because Jesus had already told the evil spirit to come out of him. So he's like, look, get out of this guy. Now, verse number 9, I love what Jesus does here in this interaction with this guy. He asks him, what is thy name? Which is so cool because I think this is Jesus trying to pull the man out of all the demons here. And he answered saying, my name is Legion, for we are many. Now, there's various definitions of what Legion could be. It could be as many as 6,000 individuals. That is a crowded man with a lot of devils there. It could be, at the least, it could be 2,000, which we learn later on in the story about that. It's funny, as you read through a lot of these translations, most of them do say legion. However, there's a couple that use another word. One says we are mobs, uses the word mobs, which I think is interesting. Another one uses the word lots. In fact, it's the contemporary English version again. Jesus asked, what's your name? And the man answered, my name is Lots, because I have lots of evil spirits. You know, as I was thinking about this, I was reading recently in the study of psychology, and I'm no doctor, so please take this for what it's worth. Oftentimes, it created this idea of a family of thoughts that go on in our minds. Whenever we hear something, there's a bunch of thoughts going on, all with various emotions going on. It makes me think that when Pixar put together the movie Inside Out, they weren't too far off with all of the different emotions that are going on there. And times it feels like there is a war, the battlefield going on with all of these emotions, these demons, if you will. And I don't want to discount the validity of this story in the sense that this man was probably dealing with very real demons. But there are people watching here who daily deal with conflicting lots, legions, mobs that are going on inside the head there as they're trying to figure out how to go through the day. You have one of you saying, I can do this, and there's other one saying, no, you can't do this. Well, long story short, Jesus is able to cast out the demons. In fact, they see a herd of 2,000 pigs, and they're just like, can we go there? And Jesus is like, go. And so all of these pigs, I can just see them, they're just like, oh man, all of a sudden here's the demons come in, and the pigs go, and they jump off of a cliff right there. And then what ends up happening is verse number 15. All of these individuals who had seen all the pigs jump off, they went and told it to everybody, and they came to Jesus to see him that was possessed with the devil and had the legion, sitting and clothed and in his right mind, which I think is so cool. Such a peaceful person there. You know, and as I was thinking about this and trying to tie this and how to make this a little bit more relevant to us, I remember in May of 2022, President Russell M. Nelson gave a wonderful talk. He gave it to the young single adults of the church, but it is relevant for it's relevant for all of us. It's called Choices for Eternity. And President Nelson, if you haven't watched this, please go watch it. It is so good. May of 2022. But he talks about how there's constant warring within us with regards to labels and identities. And you know, right now in our world, I think Satan is really using that. President Nelson refers to that. He doesn't say the labels in and of themselves are bad, but he says when it comes right down to it, there are three that we need to focus on the most. Now, like Jesus, who went up to the man and said, tell me your name, President Nelson said, let us turn to the question, who are you? First and foremost, you are a child of God. Second, as a member of the church, you are a child of the covenant. And third, you are a disciple of Jesus Christ. Tonight, I plead with you not to replace these three paramount and unchanging identifiers with any others, because doing so could stymie your progress or pigeonhole you into a stereotype that could potentially thwart your eternal progression. He goes on later and says, the adversary rejoices in labels. Legions of them are out there. That's my words, not his. But rejoices in labels because they divide us and restrict the way that we think about ourselves and each other. How sad it is when we honor labels more than we honor each other. And so I love how President Nelson is trying to help us get rid of some of these demons that are, like he said, stymieing our progress. And so as you think about this story right here, when we focus on who we are, Jesus is going up to this guy, he's like, please tell me your name, tell me who you are, trying to pry out of this man that he's not a guy who's just possessed by legions of devils. He is a child of God. And when you figure that out, I think you are able to sit and then be in your right mind and then be able to focus on the goodness that you are able to do in this world. So anyway, that's my take on this story. I love this story and I love the principles that it teaches, and I testify to you of the words of President Nelson as well. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. Thanks as always for sharing. We'd love that you do that. Please check out our amazingly comfortable gospel themed socks at bombsocks.com. You have a great day, and we'll see you tomorrow. Godspeed. Bye-bye.